A night that seemed like any other in Dallas quickly turned into one of the most devastating tragedies the city has ever seen. A local pastor, Daniel Whitaker, is accused of setting fire to his own home, taking the lives of his wife, children, and even his brother. But what could drive a man of faith to commit such an unspeakable act? Was it rage, betrayal, or something darker? The answer to that question lies in a shocking discovery, a DNA test that revealed a devastating family secret. What do you do when the people closest to you, those you trust the most, betray you in the most unimaginable way? What lengths would you go to when the foundation of your entire life is built on lies? Before we dive deep into this heartbreaking story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our posts. And to all our subscribers and those who engage with us in the comments, your support means everything to us. Now, let's begin the journey into the dark truth that shattered a family forever. Daniel Whitaker, the well-respected pastor in Dallas, was known for his commitment to his faith and family. His wife, Rebecca, stood beside him, always at his side during church services and community events. Together, they had 4 children: Elijah, the eldest at 17, followed by Micah, Abigail, and Naomi. The Whitakers were the picture of an ideal family, the kind of family that others admired and sought to emulate. From the outside, they had it all: a beautiful home on Maplewood Drive, a loving father who preached about family values, a mother who was devoted to her children, and children who were well-behaved and involved in their community. They were often seen attending church events, community gatherings, and local celebrations together. But appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the surface, a dark secret was quietly growing, one that would eventually tear the family apart in a way no one could have predicted. The Whitakers lived in a modest, yet cozy home. It wasn't the biggest house on the block, but it had a warmth that reflected the family's love for one another. The children would often be seen running around in the front yard, their laughter filling the air as they played. Their home was full of memories, birthday parties, holiday gatherings, and family dinners where they'd sit together at the table, sharing stories of their day. The walls of the house were adorned with photographs of family vacations, school events, and moments of pure joy. To anyone who looked in, it seemed like the perfect family. But there was a thick web of betrayal lingering in the environment. It wasn't long before the cracks in the Whitaker family's perfect exterior began to show. The first hint of trouble came with Elijah. At 17, he was old enough to understand that something wasn't right, but not old enough to fully grasp what was happening to him. Elijah had been feeling ill for months. Persistent autoimmune symptoms that left him fatigued, weak, and constantly in pain. Despite countless doctor visits and tests, the cause remained a mystery. His parents, worried but hopeful, kept seeking answers. They wanted nothing more than to see their son healthy again, and after trying multiple treatments, they decided to take the next step: genetic testing. The results came back on March 14th, 2024. Elijah's medical team was stunned. The DNA test, which had been conducted to understand the root of his symptoms, revealed something shocking. Elijah wasn't Daniel's biological son. He was James's, Daniel's brother. When the medical staff passed the results to Daniel, they didn't know what to expect. At first, Daniel assumed it was a clerical error. He trusted his brother, had trusted him all his life. But when the doctors confirmed it wasn't a mistake, a cold wave of realization washed over him. Elijah wasn't the only child who wasn't his. Micah, his 15-year-old son, also shared the same biological father, James. The bombshell didn't stop there. Further tests confirmed that Abigail, 12, and Naomi, just 9, were also James's biological children. Daniel's world crumbled in an instant. For years, he had been living a lie, unaware of the affair that had been going on behind his back. His wife, Rebecca, had betrayed him with his own brother. The anger, the disbelief, the pain hit him all at once, overwhelming him. He left the hospital in a daze, his mind racing. How long has this been going on? Why hadn't Rebecca told him the truth? That evening, Daniel returned home, the weight of the truth hanging heavily over him. As he stepped inside the house, he was greeted by Rebecca, her face unreadable. He confronted her, his voice shaking with rage and heartbreak. "Rebecca, how long?" Daniel's voice cracked as he asked the question that had been eating at him all day. "How long, Rebecca?" "How long were you with my brother? Behind my back?" The silence between them was thick, suffocating. And then Rebecca spoke. "You always preached about family values," she said, her voice cold, almost mocking. "But you were the only one who never saw the truth. You were the only one blind to it." Daniel's fists clenched at his sides, his body trembling with anger. How could she say that to him? How could she stand there, unrepentant, as if everything she had done and everything they had built together meant nothing? "You think this is some sort of joke?" Daniel's voice was barely above a whisper now, but the venom in his words was unmistakable. Rebecca didn't apologize. Instead, she laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that only fueled his rage. She told him that he had been the only one in the family who hadn't known the truth, that everyone else had known, even the children. The betrayal ran deeper than Daniel could have ever imagined. His own brother had fathered his children, and his wife had kept this secret from him for years. Daniel's world, his identity, everything he thought he knew, was shattered. He stormed out of the house, his mind racing, his thoughts consumed by the betrayal. He couldn't bear to be in that house any longer, couldn't face Rebecca, couldn't look at the children he had raised as his own. He needed to escape, to think, to process. But there was no escaping the truth. As the night grew darker, Daniel's rage consumed him. He drove aimlessly, his mind a blur of confusion and fury. At a local gas station, the flickering lights cast long shadows over the parking lot as he pulled up. He walked inside, his face pale, his eyes vacant. He bought 2 5-gallon containers of gasoline, not caring about the price, not caring about anything except the storm inside him. He returned to his car and drove back home, a plan forming in his mind. The clock struck 2:30 a.m. when Daniel pulled into the driveway of his home. The air was still and cold, the silence around him almost suffocating. With shaking hands, he poured gasoline all over the house, starting with the front door and working his way through the bedrooms. His thoughts were clouded by a single, overwhelming desire to destroy everything, to erase the family that had lied to him, to burn away the pain. The fire would be his revenge, his escape from the nightmare that had become his life. By 2:47 a.m., the first 911 calls flooded into dispatch. Neighbors reported thick black smoke pouring from the windows of the Whitaker residence. Flames shot into the night sky, casting an eerie glow across the street. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, but by the time they arrived, it was too late. The house was already fully engulfed. They tried to enter, but the doors had been barricaded, the windows sealed shut. The fire burned hot and fast, leaving no chance for escape. Inside, 6 bodies were found in the aftermath: Rebecca, James, Elijah, Micah, Abigail, and Naomi. They were burned beyond recognition, the flames having consumed everything in their path. The house, once filled with the sounds of laughter and love, was reduced to nothing but charred debris and smouldering ruins. A statewide manhunt was launched for Daniel, who had disappeared after setting the fire. 5 hours later, police found him sitting in his car outside a gas station in a neighboring county. When they approached, he smirked and said, "Took you all long enough." He was arrested without resistance, his confession coming shortly after. Daniel admitted to killing his entire family, ensuring no one would survive. He had set the fire to cover up the truth, to erase everything that had been done to him. The betrayal had destroyed him, and in his mind, there was no going back. The shockwaves from this tragedy rippled through Dallas, leaving friends, church members, and neighbors in disbelief. How could a man of faith, a pastor who had preached about family values, be capable of such an act? Now, Daniel faces multiple charges, including first-degree murder, arson, and child endangerment. Prosecutors have already announced they will seek the death penalty, and the legal proceedings will likely be long and painful. But for many, the moral questions surrounding this case will never be fully answered. Could Daniel have found another way to cope with the betrayal? Or was the destruction of everything he loved the only path he could see? The answers may never come, but the emotional scars left on this community will last for years to come. And so, the story of the Whitaker family ends in flames. But for everyone who knew them, the aftermath of this tragedy will linger far longer than the fire itself. In the end, the question remains, what would drive a man of faith to burn his entire family alive? How does a respected pastor, someone whose life is built on trust and the teachings of love and forgiveness, descend into an act so horrific, so final? Was it the betrayal that shattered him, seeing his wife's affair with his brother, learning that all of his children were not his own? Or was it the years of lies, the subtle erosion of trust that he never even knew existed? The truth is, we may never fully understand the depths of what happened in Daniel Whitaker's mind that night. The emotions he must have felt could have driven any man to the edge. As a pastor, Daniel had preached about forgiveness, about love, about the sanctity of family. He had built his life around these ideals. So how did he justify taking the lives of those closest to him, the very people who were supposed to be his world? Was this the final, explosive consequence of living a lie for so many years? Could he truly reconcile the man of faith he once was with the man who committed such an unspeakable act? The complexity of Daniel's actions is hard to ignore. For those around him, the fallout was devastating. Friends, family, church members, everyone who had ever known Daniel struggled to reconcile the man they once admired with the man who was capable of such violence. And more importantly, can we even begin to fathom what it takes for someone to destroy everything they've ever known in a single, irreversible act? What do you think? Could you ever forgive such a betrayal? Or, even if you could you ever trust again? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Was Daniel's rage justified? Or was there another way he could have faced the truth without the violence? We'd love to hear your opinions on this heartbreaking incident. If you want more videos like this one, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe. Thank you for watching.